SmashFactor.
Ripping driver, going for it. Oh my goodness. How about that tee shot?
That is crazy how far that is.
Wow. John Daly, take a back seat, big fella. How about that drive?
That's an aggressive line. That is beyond long.
Look at this, he's just driven the green. He has just driven the green.
I guess hello world, huh?
Welcome everybody to the Masters Week. It is finally here, week 10 of the 2020-21 PGA season. Beautiful Monday afternoon of what should be an awesome week all the way around. Tons going on, college football. We got a nice 3-game slate tomorrow night. There'll be more throughout the whole week. NFL tonight, NFL Thursday. Then, of course, the main reason we're all here, the Masters starts Thursday. Should be an interesting week. A lot of hype, a lot of anticipation. For us, a lot of critical thinking, and it'll be fun though. I'm glad that I waited. I battled back and forth with getting one out early. And then talking to the team, just decided I'm just going to keep the process pretty much like it has been. We'll have other stuff I'll be doing and adding to. Tomorrow I'll do a betting pod on the Cup with Gub. Sorry, tomorrow morning I'll get it out. I'll focus on props, betting, monkey knife fight type stuff, contests. I know a lot of people do Masters pools where they'll have tiers, stuff like that. So I'll go through kind of all that kind of stuff on that tomorrow. Wednesday, E9, Kenny will be with me live Wednesday afternoon. That'll probably be around 4 or 5 Eastern. I got to see what his work schedule looks like, but that'll be awesome. It always is, especially for a major. Good solid week last week. As far as Houston went, not a lot of sweat for me. I did have the DJ Brooks basically round robin with each other on to win last week and to win the Masters. So basically DJ Brooks type setup. Both of them made runs on the weekend. DJ's right there. And Brooks was too. He shot a great Sunday. He was just a little too far back. Finished fifth. DJ obviously finished second. 2 shots behind Ortiz with his putt on 18. Ortiz, great Sundays, stood there toe to toe with those guys and took them down. So that's awesome for him. DFS wise, for the pool I had, I wasn't too devastated with my losses. I think I lost around 35-40% of the bankroll back, but I went light like I'd been planning because I saved for this week. I did do some more Qs than I normally would do to try to get the $4,500 ticket. There are a few of them out there tonight on for the Sunday or the Monday Night Football I just saw, so I'll probably do those. See if we can get one ticket in there for this week. So I haven't decided if I'm going to play it. I don't think I'd pay to play it because I'm not too fired up about the payout structure and all that. For the money, I'd almost rather, especially this week, there's so many question marks. There's so many combos of guys you can make arguments for that I'd rather almost max the other Millie, which I think is at $3,000 to max it, than to pay the $4,500 ticket. I don't know. So I'll kind of think through that as I'm getting more in depth into my player pools and stuff like that and seeing how I feel my builds are going for the week. But, we paused, or we didn't get an early pod out there, but it's beneficial. We got Garcia's out with COVID, Neiman's out with COVID, which both were going to be in my preliminary stuff I started running for sure, probably top 20 in my rankings. Neiman was for sure. Garcia was right there, top 20, 25 with their pricing. Neiman was probably going to be my value play of the week. Not even probably, he would have been. He'd been my number one play, in that range. Low, I think 7,400 is what he is on DraftKings. But so them two being out is unfortunate. And then we get the new update this morning that the cut rule has changed for the Masters. So if you weren't familiar, it's always been top 50 and ties, and then anybody within 10 shots of the lead as well. So theoretically, everybody can make the cut if everybody was within 10 shots of the leader. But if, someone had a huge lead or something like that, you still got top 50 and tie. So historically, and I have some numbers and data on that, pretty high cut percentage here. And then once you eliminate out, there's probably 15, 20 guys, at least 15 that you can just pretty much red X, to quote Bobby, right off the bat, it really made this a lot more like a limited field event, is how I always approached it, which fortunately we always have done well in those. It could have an effect. It couldn't, there's no way to know. We'll see what the number would have been or could have been if it comes into play with the 10-shot rule this week. But now it's just top 50 and ties. So anybody inside that will make the cut. No more 10-shot rule. So which changes a little bit of strategy. So, I'm just glad we waited and we let the week come to us. Let's enjoy it, the process, right? So we always talk about, process over results type of deal sometimes. And now it's here. So we get to go full on. I'll be nonstop today, putting out content, researching, diving. Pretty much nonstop until I tee off Thursday, really. So I'm excited for it. I had an event this weekend, played about 40 to 50 mile an hour gust yesterday. It was not fun. Got a little sunburn though, got a little vitamin D in me, but it was fun. It was kind of like we were supposed to actually have it the weekend before, but when the ice storm hit, they moved it. So it wasn't ideal for me because I knew I had a lot of research to get done on Masters. I was kind of not in Slack as much this weekend, but a little break right before. Now it's, I'll be in Slack all day, all 7 days, this week, especially when we start, talking showdown and stuff, Thursday, Friday, Saturday as well. March to the Masters is going well. I hope everybody enjoyed the free preview week last week. A lot of views, a lot of new views, a lot of people joined. So I think that was positive. I think giving people a little taste of what we have. And then they decided to join us for this week at the Masters. Still going on. So all the way through Sunday night, you can still join. 30% off, highest discount we've ever given, with the code Masters. If you are a current member, you can upgrade. If you do one of those two things, you're in the drawing for our super rare Scotty Cameron putter that we're going to give away next week. And give away 3 prizes, what I settled on. Second prize is going to be like a Gups Corner, community pack, including we're going to be debuting a new hoodie and a new hat coming up very soon, probably the next day or so, maybe even today. We're just waiting on some final details on style and making sure we have enough quantities, all that. We'll be doing a pre-sale on that this week, so you guys can all do it. If you do buy it and then you happen to win the drawing for the second place, because those are going to be included in the pack, we'll credit it back. So go ahead and get your pre-sale. If you're going to want one anyways, go ahead and order it. And if you happen to win, then obviously we'll credit you back the difference. But and then third place will be some kind of cash prize, DFS money type deal, and maybe a shirt on top of it, something like that. And I'll announce all those next Monday on the SmashFactor, the winner. So again, if you upgrade to full site or you're already full site member, you're in it, or any new members that have joined basically since the reboot June 1st are in it as well. So looking forward to that. This will be a great week. We'll have a lot of eyes on the industry in general. That's good. It doesn't matter who it is, where it's at. Growth to the DFS world, and especially golf, helps us, in general. And it gets people on other stuff we do well too. NFL, college football coverage is amazing. Ryan's cash game articles as good as anybody's out there. UFC, baseball is doing well, NBA. I love everybody getting a taste of what we had to offer. So appreciate you guys. If you guys saw, none of those guys were allowed in Slack, so there wasn't like a lot of new people in there, but we did have a lot of new members join throughout the week as well. So if you see new people, reach out to them, say hi, as we try to as well. We'll be doing some more giveaways, kind of the Twitter giveaway on rate and review on iTunes, and subscribe on YouTube. I'll put a tweet out there today, get some retweets and stuff like that, and I'll pick the winner. And this is a free run, so all you gotta do is go rate and review us on iTunes. If you've already done it, you're taken care of, or hit the subscribe button if you're watching this now, and like the video for us, and you'll get entered as well. So you can have 2 entries into it, and that'll be some merch and DFS money for the Masters. I'll give those out on Wednesday, earlier in the day, so people can get their stuff reserved. Listener League is up. It's been up. They went 600 entries for us, which marks our biggest. We're getting there with like the U.S. Open and stuff. I think we had 600 or 700. Battling with football, let's fill it up, show them we can still fill it up during golf season. We're already well over 200, maybe approaching 300 now. So I feel good we'll get it filled. But the majors and maybe the WGCs, the top three will get into the season end League of Champions contest every week. Up until then, it's been just one winner gets in. NFL, we do top three every week because there's only so many limited weeks, but with 40-something golf tournaments, we're doing winner only, but for the major. So this week, if you finish in the top three, you'll get into that season-ending contest. $7.50, 3 max. It'll be in the pod description as well if you want to check it out, or you can get on Twitter right now and see it. It's been sent there plenty. Last week's winner, Ahmed 345, had DJ, Matsu, Davis, Straka, Long, and Garnett. Even when Davis collapsed on the weekend, he still had a solid lineup there. So 6-6 was big this week. I overall for me, I made the deal. I went Brooks over DJ and like single entry stuff. I did wind up coming back because I almost was going to do the Fade DJ, and I think I came back Wednesday night and said I'll probably still be level to the field I'm on GPPs. I mean, like big MMEs. But I wasn't going to play him in the bullet stuff. Brooks was good. DJ was better. So, it didn't work out. Faded Matsu, he comes on strong on the weekend, finished the second with DJ. Very rare fade for me to do that. So I kind of bit me, but live and learn. And I had some decent 6-6s, but the guys that made the weekend for me just did not have good weekends. Like I said, Davis shoots, I think he finished like plus 15 or something. Sungjae, bad Saturday, came back a little Sunday. Ventura, same way, not a good weekend. Some guys like that hurt me. Norlander, my big bullet, he was the only one that missed for me. I had a 5-6 there and bubbled in a lot of contests. So I wasn't too upset with the week overall. I did say that it would play harder than what most people were predicting. I didn't think this hard. I was thinking more like 11, 12, maybe 14 under would be right in there. I didn't necessarily see this, but you just heard the guy, especially after listening to Brooks, on how hard and firm the greens were. And then, the weather and stuff like that, which it wasn't, I don't think it was too bad, but, it's just going to make it tough for those guys. So, and it was, very tough. One of the tougher tournaments they played so far this year. And then, leading into this week, be interested to see the reactions or overreactions or the way people are. I have not listened to much industry because, again, I wanted to try to keep my process as similar as most. I know there's a lot of pods already out, so I'll be doing most of that this afternoon as I crunch out content and build some showdown lineups tonight. So I'm really interested to see the takes there. I mean, a lot of people that got out early wouldn't have addressed the cut rule, so I think people are going to have to come back and reevaluate that. As always, we'll get straight into the Masters now. I'll recommend you go check out Fantasy DJ Pod with Kenny. He's the host of that. He does a great job with the course preview. This is one course we all know. We all know a lot of the history, how it lays out. Probably the strongest course history when you talk about results, and a lot of people don't even look at course history some weeks. Their anti-course history or their more recent form or whatever. This is one that does correlate well in general. People can play here. People play well here tend to do it even if they're not on their game. Jordan Spieth last year 21st, wasn't playing good at all pretty much anywhere. Still got 21st. His last 4 years, a second, 11th, a third, and a 21st. Not really playing great now. Going to be one we'll talk about, be interested in. Probably the biggest deal is, they oversee with Rye, which is common down here in the South. I think it's pretty much going to play similar as it would in the spring. They have the system underneath the grounds to keep they can keep that course how they want it, even if the weather does look like it's going to be with a lot of rain. That's going to be the biggest story and kind of challenges is, with a smaller field and going off split tees, I don't really think you're going to see too much of a quote unquote wave advantage. And the reason why they're doing that is daylight, right? The sun's going down, I played yesterday, probably 5:30 ish, 6, it's definitely done. So, that's why they're having to do that. So you're going to have a lot of the guys out on the course at the same time. We'll see if there's any kind of wave advantage. That'll be something that'll be very talked about on E9 on Wednesday once we have the latest information. Temperature-wise, though, it's nice. It really looks similar to the spring. I mean, I think today or tomorrow it's getting up even to 80. It's going to be in the 70s, not too chilly in the morning, high 40s, 50s, and not much wind, which is the bigger deal. If this was going to be cold, wet, windy Augusta, that's probably a different deal. This just looks like almost, I think it's that system that just went through Florida that's really going to be getting there, most kind of coming across and hitting that part of the country. OG John was down there. It was close to him, I think. Or that I don't know if it's technically a hurricane when it hit yesterday, but big storm. And so you're going to see some. I think the winds are going to swirl some, but they don't look like they're going to be bad. I mean, 5 to 10 miles is most days what it is, so that's a good thing. Probably will play a little soft, but I still think this course will dry out pretty well. So unless it's just nonstop rain, that'll be the deal. Is it? Are we talking inches? Are we talking about some showers, like almost springtime showers? And as we get closer to Wednesday, we'll know a little bit better. Starting tomorrow, it's 60% chance, then 80%, then 90%, then 40%, then 30%, then 40% the whole week. So every day has at least 30% chance of rain. The worst being Wednesday and Thursday. Obviously, we don't care much about the practice rounds, other than the one kind of note in my head was, if they're new and they don't get the true amount of practice rounds like you normally would, does that affect them going in? I think it does. So I do want to keep an eye on how many of these guys are getting their rounds in around, but I don't think it's going to be nonstop rain from what I'm seeing. So they'll probably pick and choose when they go out there and play, and then, they don't want a lot of delays because they're really up against the window, especially Sunday, because of the NFL cut off at 3. They're trying to get the tournament done by 3:00 for CBS coverage because they got the 3:00 game. So a lot going on there, a lot of pieces to the puzzle that we got to put together this week, but that's what makes it interesting and fun. Based on historics, and then I think the top 50 and ties only rule, I'm going to put the cut at +2. And I had the winning score around -13. I do think they will tend to, maybe Sunday it'll make it a little tougher, but maybe not play as tough, mainly because I think they want to try to get the rounds in. I know not that they're going to make it easy. Augusta's never easy, but I think it could play. It's not last year. Tiger shot 16 under or 13 under, so it's about like that. And that's kind of where I see it again. I don't know if it gets down to like 8, 9 under wins it. But I think it could be anywhere from 9 to this 13 number, somewhere in there. I don't see it getting much lower. I don't see like 16, 17, 18 in play, unless Bryson just blows everybody out, which seems to be the narrative from what I've listened to so far. But as I said, we'll definitely get into that. So for I went back from 2010 through last year, and you've had an average of 59.4% of the field making the cut. And when you couple that with every year, there's about 15 to 20 lifers, old guys that get to play for life, and some amateurs and some really high up OWGR guys from overseas that come in, that most of those guys you can just kind of mark off, but call it 15. It's a pretty high percentage. Probably it's closer to like of real people we would play, 65, 70% of the people in our pool. So the 59.4% number is based off an average, of around 93 people a year. But like I said, literally there's probably 70, 75 that are viable for DraftKings. So we'll see how that affects with the 10-shot rule this year. Last year, 73.9% of the field made the cut. And the cuts average +4 over since 2010. So I think it'll be a little bit, higher number for both of those reasons. So I went +2 there. Strategy-wise, it really doesn't change too much for me. It does. I think because it could not be a factor at all. It could wind up being the cut's going to be the same number it would have been. I do think a few more people have a chance to miss because of that. Just because, typically we're only having about 4 or 5 legitimate type guys miss the cut that make or break the week for sure. But it's much more mentality of a limited field event for me in that saying. So now a little bit of adjustment where I think you could literally only have 51, 52 guys out of, I think right now there's 92 with Garcia and Neiman out. Yeah, I got 92 in there. So it's, would be still over half the field. so I'm not really changing my strategy much there, but it's something to dictate. Obviously, like I mentioned, course history and, repeat champions type deal. And not only that, guys that play here and have played here, won here, finished up there, tend to continually play pretty good most years here. I mean, prior winners leading up, kind of this realm of players starting that same 2010 number. You had Mickelson, Swartle, Bubba, Adam Scott, Bubba, Jordan Spieth, Willett, Garcia, Reed, and Woods. I've had two of the last three winners in betting. I released Garcia back in 2017. I think he was 45-1 that year. And I released Tiger last year on, but a lot of people probably, we all, that was kind of a community win. I am starting to get a little, not concerned, but very rarely when everybody's on one guy, does that normally pay off well, especially in the betting market. I like probably several others. I released Bryson back. I looked today. It was February 22nd when I released him. I think it was 40-1 or something like that. He's the favorite, barely at 8-1. Just DJ's just behind him at 9-1. But yeah, which is good because that kind of even makes it for me easier to, if I want to fade there, and if he wins it, at least I got the betting ticket still out there. But a lot of people have it. So with that, we'll kind of jump into the field now. I did change the format. I've been shuffling around with this a little bit. It used to be the Dirty Dozen. We'll get to that in just a second. There are 26 new guys that have not played, at least in the last 4 years. Most of those have never played, to the course. And everybody knows that it was a Fuzzy Zeller's the last new debutant, I guess is what they call it, to win. But you have guys that have played good in their first appearance, just not won it. So I wouldn't get too caught up on that necessarily. But to come out here and win the Masters on your first try is probably a stretch. But in the salary ranges, we got 5 in the 10K, 9 in the 9K, 9 in the 8K, 19 in the 7K, and 50 in the 6K. Pretty balanced in general. Obviously, you got over half the field in the 6,000. So gonna have to find some guys down there to sprinkle in, especially if you're doing GPPs. I do have several that I actually kind of like, and especially if I'm doing 10, 20 lineups, there's some guys I'm willing to take chances on, and then stack as many as the top guys as you can. You look at leaderboards in the past, and these guys all rise to the occasion. DJ was second last year. Brooks was second. Tiger wins it. Finau top 5. Those guys are always up there. Rahm was 9th. Xander was second. Roy's a 10th, a 7th, a 5th, a 21st. So they're all seem to play well here and do well. And so, getting that down in like a bullet format is tough this week because you're going to have to make some tough calls. Now that could be looked at as good or bad. I tend to like it because once I get to my process, I feel I can make those moves and build a 1 max or a 3 max type deal, a little bit sharper than most. And so I'll use it to my advantage, but I do also like GPPs this week, 20 max, the 150 max, if you want to, even down to the, quarter arcade, stuff like that. This is a fun week to do it because there's a lot of combinations you can build, with a smaller player pool, and one that a lot of it's going to make the cut. So you're going to get 4 rounds out of a lot of guys. So it's fun to do both for sure. And we definitely have content provided, gearing towards both of those and kind of peaking at the right time here. Stats for me, I definitely bumped course history in my overall, algorithm, if you want to call it that. This is the highest I put course history of the year. It's still not like huge, but I do have it in there. We'll have take a look at how people do on bent green putting, and Joe Petta's book on the Masters. He had all the stats broken down. I don't know if he's doing one this year or not. I think he is. But I did look at we had him on last year on the show, and I've looked at that to look at some putting stuff, which is a key for Bryson. That's one thing that we'll talk about is his putting has not been great here at all. Recent form, I definitely, I like the Masters in itself. It seemed like you want people coming in good form. I don't know. This year makes it all different because not the same, schedule for them. It's not April. They don't, a lot of these guys plan their entire first 4 months of the year building up to the Masters. Well, here, probably once they had the reboot, they all took a look at, okay, how do I want to get to the Masters? But the flip side of it was, we've heard even from a couple players that they normally would play Houston, didn't play Houston because they didn't want to take a risk of testing positive and missing the Masters. So unique situation. A lot of it's noise, anecdotal stuff, and that's what we got to kind of put out and focus on the things that we can really control, or things that give us a better signal than what that does. For me, the stats I'm looking at is stroke gain iron, which is in our tools a combo of approach and around the green. This is one of the biggest courses where around the green comes important because the greens are hard to hit, hard to hold. You got to be able to get up and down and say par. Or maybe even save a bogey here or there and not make it a double or a triple. We've seen big numbers show up. I got great drives. I'm looking at that. Scoring opportunities inside 18 foot, ball striking, and par 5. Par 5 is where a lot of the strokes here. I think some years it's been as high as 50% of the scoring has been on par 5s. I know the year that Reed won, I think he was 15 under, and like 12 or 13 of it was from the par 5s. It doesn't happen like that all the time, but it certainly is a big deal. So I think the bombing off the tee matters. And I think it will get hyped up more, A, because of the Bryson talk, but B, because if they don't think there'll be any carry out. But I know it really is going to depend on how we hear and what the weather's doing. I don't think there's going to be like puddles and really soaked up fairways, because that place dries out so good. But if it's nonstop raining, Tuesday, if it doesn't have time to get dry out, then yeah, it certainly is going to be a benefit to be longer. And I think being longer here in general is a benefit, but I just don't want to put it all on bombers, because you still have to have great approach game. You got to hit greens. Being off the tee is great, and then you got to be a good putter. I mean, it's basically saying you got to be a good golfer. I know that, but just being a long, great driver is not going to win this for you. That's not all you need. It does help though, right? So we got to factor all that in. So what I did now is I called this the Sweet 16. I have 4 tiers of 3 picks, and then I have my last man out in each of the tier. So the bubble boy, if you will, is after that. And then I'll go through a flop, a fade, and a sleeper. And then I have 4 gut feel plays. These are guys that aren't popping necessarily in the rankings, the models, all that, but maybe someone just to keep an eye on. Let's see how the deep dive goes and see if they move up the board or something like that. And then my sleeper, I moved it, instead of just being 6,900 or less, I made it a guy that I currently see as being like a sub 5% type ownership. So change up format. You guys tell me if you like it. I wanted to be able to focus, get a little more players in there and not anecdotally just throw out names at the end. And I think I'll like this format. We'll keep it going this way if you guys like the format. So first tier, 9K or above. Number 1 player in my rankings, number 1 player in almost everything for me is DJ. So he's too cheap for what he should be right here. Unfortunately, he performed really well last week. So the ownership's going to be interesting, because I keep hearing a lot of the Bryson talk, and you could certainly, they both will be up there, but I don't care how a DJ is. I'll just go overweight. I'll play him, and I'll play a lot of them this week. I think he wins this week. I think DJ is going to win the Masters this week. He'll be my pick. He is my pick, which in the betting segment and stuff tomorrow, we'll talk about how to get value there. I just think he's on like he is right now, and he's playing probably as well or close to the 2017 run he had. I'm just not going to go against him. And at that price, I'm getting him as the cheapest 5-figure guy. I assume he's going to be up maybe 30%. I don't know. People may find a way around it. It's hard to get too high on because you have so many good guys right here. Literally my 1, 2, 3, and 4 rankings is DJ, Rory, JT, Rahm. And normally it's not necessarily like that. Then you got Shoffley right behind them at 5. Brooks is 8. Bryson's 9. You're going to have enough people fade to whoever, or drift to whoever they want enough that I think ownership will still spread out, and it's kind of soft pricing. So I don't think there's going to be like a massive chalk play, but if my gut was kind of where I would say DJ is going to be up there, at least in the top 5 ownership, and we'll just have to be, strategic on how we make those builds. Second for me is Brooks. Liked him last week, talked about it. I said if I saw a good game, I'd go to him. One more week for him to get, that much stronger, healthier. Looked good, finished 5th, strong weekend, strong Sunday. Game's not, perfect right now. But again, the price though, 9,700, I think I'm getting a huge discount on a guy that can win this. I got win equity in him. He has maybe not as good a chance as, everyone in there, but pretty close, as good of a chance as anybody to come out here and win this week. His last 3 here, a 21st, an 11th, and a second. DJ was a 4th, a 10th, and a second. So both of them right there, top 10, 2016 was his worst. And that was a 21st. So I expect to see those guys on the leaderboard come Sunday. And then last is Rahm for me. I think this was, for me, DJ Brooks was kind of no-brainers, the pricing and everything. And then I had to settle between who was my favorite between Rory, JT, and Rahm. It was close, but and I really think Rory could wind up being one of the lower owned guys, and he'll be a GPP play I talk about throughout the week. But as of today, right now, I like Rahm. We'll see how the ownership goes between like Rory, JT, and Rahm for me, because that's kind of where I was. They're all right there, between 10-2 and 10-7. So not huge price discrepancy that you're having to factor in. JT being the highest. Rahm made his debut in 2017, got a 27th. So there's a guy, first Masters, not bad. Then a 4th and a 9th. So top 10, certainly in play. And he can win, and I like that. So 10-5, Rahm's my last one, 9K or above. My bubble boy in this range was Bubba. Bubba is 6th for me. I think the 9K will scare people off. It kind of was one of those sticker shocks to me when I first saw it. Then I kind of looked at everything. I was like, well, given the course history, he got 7th at the CJ Cup, 4th at the Zozo. We know he loves this place. He loves the side off the tees. If he can putt, he can contend. And 9K, he doesn't have to win. So now I got a guy that's cheap enough right there on the bubble that a top 10 out of him and that he's in play. So he was my bubble boy, real close, not the elite talent of DJ Brooks and Rahm, in my opinion. So just missed out on him. Second tier, 8,000 range. Kick it off with Finau. I mean, he just loves this place. I mean, he finished 10th with a broken ankle. And that was the year me and Bucks was there in 2018 at the par 3. So, and then last year came back and got a 5th, was either leading or right there with Molinari on Sunday. Cause I think it was Molinari, Tiger, and him were the final group. So certainly capable of winning. Liked it. He come back from COVID, played pretty good last week, a 24th, nothing crazy, but he plays this place well. I think he can putt well. Knows it. He was Joe's pick last year based on the book he wrote and everything, just looking at the data. So I assume Tony will be right there at one of the top 3 in ownership at this price, because I think he's just priced a little cheap for me, 8,800 for a guy that can go out there and outright win it. I think that's why Bubba could be a potential pivot, because for $200 more, I bet Bubba's half the ownership at best. But we'll see. We'll see how we get to Wednesday. No reason to rush, right? Like I talked about, let the process go. Next is Wolf. He's kind of my, I guess mini Bryson, if you will, he plays well. He's good off the tee, right? He's 5th in great drives for me, 12th in ball striking. Hasn't had the best form coming in, a 73rd at the CJ Cup. Or if you remember, I think he was like dead last. Don't know what happened there. And then 50th at Zozo, which really still wasn't great. So the only knock on him, and maybe it keeps the ownership down in this range, is the form coming in. I think stat-wise, he's top 10 for me. He's 14th overall. I know he'll love putting on these greens, and I think he'll like the course in general. Not that Carson's like Augusta, but, I think the challenges and stuff he's seen before, he'll do all right. And he certainly loves bent grass putting. So he's a guy that, I don't expect high ownership. So that's kind of why I went with him. And this 8K range, I think, is going to be one of the lower ranges owned, because I think people are going to be jamming up top and they'll jump down to the 7. And there's a lot of these 8K guys that are questionable right now on where we go with them. But I do like Wolf, as a GPP type play and top 3 for me in this range. And then Matsu, he doesn't stat wise, he's not up there for me right now because he went through that little. If I look at really, really recent versus long-term stats, he is. And I kind of bring some of that stuff in the deep dive. But, second last week looked great. His last 4 years here, a 7th, an 11th, a 19th, and a 32nd. 8,700 is a good price for him right there. I think he'll get some ownership from Finau as well. Again, in general, I think ownership will spread out. So there'll be some spots where you can take some risk, or leverage plays, but a lot of these guys are going to be very close in ownership to me. At least that's what I think. His last 3 tournaments, 21st, 28th, and a second last week. So I like the form coming in. He definitely knows his place. He can play it well. Assuming he's not going to be super chalky, I like Matsu a lot. Next, and the bubble boy in this, which I don't know. I'll see if I'm one of the few. I think it's Spieth. I know, I get it, right? Nothing looks encouraging, and he started out, I think, decent in Houston, but then just fell apart. Once he fell apart, it was over. Like, he went way off the board. He's number 1 in course history. When I look at all the things I pulled in last 4 years, a 2nd, 11th, a 3rd, a 21st. We all obviously know about his wins. There's just something about this place, and he plays it well. I mean, like I said, last year he was not in any good form coming in either, and it gets a 21st. Biggest key there is he's 8,200. So I think anecdotally we may see Spieth and be like, all right, he's got to win. Well, he don't have to win. He just got to finish, I don't know, top 30, top 25-ish probably, with some upside. And we know he can score. He just has problems avoiding the bogeys and stuff like that. But he knows Augusta so well that I'll favor it. And I'm hoping at that price he really gets overlooked. But that was why he was a bubble boy for me, just because the form's not great. We know that. But in the week, I'm going to trust course history. I got to like Spieth, right there on the bubble for me. So he'll be in action for me come Wednesday. 7K range. First is Scheffler. I think he's getting his game back after his COVID deal. He kind of wasn't doing great. He even talked about it. But I think he's feeling strong here. Another first-time player here, $7,800 though. Make the cut and give us some upside. That's a guy I like. He putts average on bent from when I looked at the splits early. He's 16th in stats for me, 21st in recent form, 52nd at CJ Cup, 17th at Zozo, then a 32nd last week. I think he was first on leader, right up there last week. So tailed off a little bit over the weekend, but at that price, he's a guy that I just circle as, huge upside. And if he can make the cut, he's a guy I can trust to, I don't say trust, but I like his chances to be able to make a run, and maybe do top 20 inside there and return value for me. Next is Cameron Champ. Real interested to see how industry kind of thinks of him. I don't know at this course, this field, but we're talking about off the tee type stuff. I mean, for me, he's number 1 in great drives. He's been outdoes Bryson in that category. Bryson's 2. So his iron games at times isn't strong enough for this place, I don't think. But if he's in a better position than most off the tee, he's going to be the closest, other than maybe Bryson, most of the time. I liked how he looked at the Zozo. If it's not too much of a moment, again, another first time. There's several first timers here that are live plays, I think, this week in DFS. So, be interesting to see where people go there. 7th in stats overall for me. He's there. 7,100 though. He's just got to make the cut. So I like his game and his par 5 scoring ability. That I'll take a risk at 7,100. Last up is a guy I do think will be popular in the community, which is Kokrak. $7,000, won the CJ Cup. Pretty strong field. He's 10th in stats for me. He's been solid all year. We talked about it the pre-break of COVID and all that. I mean, he was striking the ball extremely well. I don't want to say you could see a win coming, but you knew he was right there, staying in it. He's longer off the tee than ones some people think. 13th in great drives, 7th in ball striking, 7th in scoring opportunities inside 18 feet, 18th in irons. Par 5 scoring is only 37th, not too. I guess better than average. So solid all around. The price just seems like great value for me. But I do think with that price will come ownership. So can't start getting a lot of DJ, Finau, Kokrak type. These lineups are all going to seem great, but if they're all up there in ownership, where are you going to get your leverage? So, and we'll talk about that much more, especially going into E9 on Wednesday. But in the content pieces and stuff, the strategy parts of where you decide to make your pivots and build those unique lineups. Bubble boy for me in this range was Justin Rose. Not the best form coming in, looked a little better at Zozo, finishing 17th. His last 4, he was a big miscut guy last year. Probably killed a lot of the make the cut parlays. Be interesting to see what those odds look like with the new rule change. A little bit harder now, potentially, to make the cut. So this is always one of the best tournaments to do those make or miss the cut parlays because of, a high percentage of people making it. And in general, the books haven't ever adjusted too much from a normal event. So that'll be something hopefully all that stuff's out by tomorrow. That'll be the timing of when I do that pod, is I want to get as much of the betting stuff out. Generally in a major week, especially the Masters, the bets are out way earlier than they are most weeks, but going up against football, you never know. So we'll take a look at that this afternoon and see how early we can go tomorrow. His last 4 years, though, a 10th, a second, a 12th. So there was a reason why everybody loved him last year. And then he missed the cut. Killed a bunch of people's line. He was one of the bigger ones that did miss the cut, bigger names, along with Casey. I was a full faded Casey last year. We'll get down to him in a little bit, but at 7,700, again, bringing that course history part into it, I sound like you on repeat here, but he's a guy that plays this course well. So I'm going to factor that in. He's still 17th in my stat model in general. Second course fit wise, recent form is kind of the only thing, but last time out, he looked good. He's kind of a guy that I wouldn't mind listening to some pressers and see how he's feeling in general. And a lot of that I do take into consideration. I'll be listening to everything, anything I can today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, so we can bring you the best information Wednesday night. But I want to see how people are feeling and their attitude and all that kind of stuff. And, he's kind of a mutter. I mean, if it is nasty-ish, and I think he can, he can grind. I think that is one of his, a good thing for him. But just on the outside for me on the bubble there. But last 4 out, they're still going to be in my pool, especially big GPPs. 6,900 or less. Siwoo Kim is my favorite. Been on him a while. Played him last week. He did hurt me a little bit. He's played here 3 times, missed the cut his first year, then a 24th and a 21st. So I like that. After he saw the place, he came back, 2 top 25 finishes. 6,800 really seems kind of cheap to me. I know they got to get someone's got to be priced down there, right, to make it all work, but he's 5th in my stat model right now, 4th in irons, 12th in great drives, 2nd in opportunities inside 18 feet, 14th in ball striking, 17th at the CJ Cup. He did miss last week, but maybe that wasn't the worst thing. Maybe he got to get out of there and start getting focused on this week, where I think he's, I think he's live to top 20 for sure. We've seen it. He's been right there. And at $6,100, all we need is cut makers and guys with upside. And I love him this week. I like him a lot. Certainly viable for a 1-3 max build as well. Munoz, another guy, I like him a lot. He was coming in great form. He is new, so that's one reason why I went Siwoo as number 1, since this is his 4th time to play it. $6,700, just need a cut maker. 19th in stats, 10th in form. He finished 9th at the CJ Cup, 14th at the Zozo, 2nd in iron play, 9th in ball striking for me. Great drives. He's not horrible, 35th. So, better half of the field. So if he can put it in play, he's just in great form right now. So he's more of a good form play. I like him coming in cheap, cut maker, Munoz guy. And the last one is Connors. I always struggle with him in a place where putting is so crucial, but even more so, like he struggles around the green sometimes. And so, and I wasn't really going to be on him. And I forgot he played last year. He made his debut. He made the cut, finished 46th. So I was like, all right, he's seen the place. That's a plus. He's playing pretty good. 61st and then an 8th and a 24th last week. Played good last week. Putting is difficult here in general, so that may offset some of his weaknesses some. And at $6,600, again, just need a cut maker. He certainly can go low at times, so he can grind out there if it's a little sloppy. Stats are okay. 4th scoring opportunity inside 18 foot, 8th ball striking. Then everything else is top 30 or better. So he's not great anywhere, but not horrible by any means. So I like that. If he can somewhat survive the greens around the green and putting, I think he could have a good week. It definitely gave him a bump once I obviously when I did the rankings and saw that he played here last year. So I liked that he was coming back. Bubble boy for me in this range was Benny On. He's played here, but not since 2017. He had a miscut, then the 33rd. So I like those guys that if they, in the first time they miss a cut and the next time they come back and did really good, like Siwoo on the same way, encouragement for me. Okay for him coming in 42nd at CJ, 35th at Zozo. Both those were limited fields though, so it's not as good as what it sounds. Again, he's right there with Connor's on putting. Can he putt just like not lose 10 strokes putting? If he could just lose like one or 1.5 or something, we know the ball striking can be there. I just like Connor's numbers overall better to put him in the final three, and that's why bidding on was on the bubble for me. Flop, fade, and sleeper. My flop is going to be Fleetwood. I just don't like where he's at in general. Form, 59th at CJ, 57th at Zozo. He missed a cut here. Then he got a 17th, and then last year a 36. So not horrible, but $8,600. I mean, that's up there around that Finau range and Matsu. I mean, those guys are legit contenders for top 10. I just don't see a path there with Fleetwood right now, just because he hasn't been hitting the iron so well. He just hadn't played well at all. And so at that price, he normally is a popular name. I don't know how much ownership he'll garnish right now because he's not coming in he's 65th in the field with recent form. That's almost last of viable people that actually have been playing. So I just don't like him this week at 8,600. I don't think he'll return his value. So he's my flop of the week. My fade is going to be Morikawa. There's someone up here you gotta pull off of. I almost went Bryson, but there is a way I see myself to Bryson. I'll talk about that. But 9,500. After winning the major, he's looked okay at times and flashed certain things. He's 56 in the field in great drives, and I just don't know. We know he can do it, but I don't know if he can do it all 4 days and have much longer shots than everybody else coming into these greens. And he's not the best around the green. So he's going to have to hit greens, and generally you don't hit as many greens here. And this is his first time playing it. So that high of a price, he probably will garnish some ownership. He was the one that was kind of my fade for me this week. Certainly could change by Wednesday, and I always update if that happens. But for now, that's who I'm going with. Sleeper, I didn't think I would be here. But right now I have Tiger at 2.5 to 4.5%, 5% own. Could change by Wednesday, early in the week, obviously. For the defending champ and a guy that knows this place as good as anybody, obviously the form has just not been there. And that's what it's really just going to, do you trust him to be ready and show up to play? In 2018, he got 32nd and won last year. A lot of memories, a lot of emotions. I like him more now than I did even 48 hours ago. A, he's at 9,100. I just don't see too many people going there. B, and I remember now he wasn't really high on last year. But B, if you're going to have a tougher Augusta, so now he doesn't have to worry about being up there shooting 4 or 5 under every day, just like last year, when he shot 13 under. If it's in that kind of realm, it certainly favors him because he knows how to get around this course as good as anybody. There is nothing in recent stats or form or anything that's going to get you excited to play Tiger. If you're playing Tiger this week, it's 2 reasons. One, huge leverage play if he's truly going to be under 5%. And I think it's some of the more popular big ones. He'll gain some because people are just going to click Tiger. In 1 to 3 Mac type stuff, higher dollar stuff, he's not going to be on that much. So we'll see how he feels too. He's one I want to listen to because how's the back feeling? The other part I was mentioning was grind it out type of tournament. And then the weather's not really going to be that cold. A little bit cool mornings. It was actually, some of the mornings were colder last year when he won. But those high set in the 70s and maybe even 80, that's beneficial to like him, right? Warm. We know that helps. So it's a risk. But if I'm getting him sub 5%, I don't have to take too big of a risk. I mean, I can play 8 to 10%. You're 1.5x, 2x the field. If he does well, and it could be a huge leverage play and like a million maker type deal. So right now I like Tiger at that percentage. I'm certainly would play him. He starts creeping up 10, 12, 14%, probably not so much, but everything I'm kind of gauging, I think he's 3 to 5% range right now. My gut feel plays, and these are guys, if you're a premium member and you see my rankings, that's why I'm calling these guys gut feel, because these guys aren't going to be real high ranked. They're just something about them or just something to, let's keep an eye on the deep dive and see if any of these guys move up. I'll talk, maybe they come up Wednesday in E9, but first one's Fowler. Again, none of these guys are going to be very positive to talk about, but he can putt these greens as good as anybody. He loves bent grass greens. His last 3 years, an 11th, a 2nd, and a 9th. He's $8,100. I don't think he's going to be very high owned or looked at all. His form is terrible coming in. Very similar to Tiger, but $1,000 cheaper. So because I know he can putt well, and if he can just if he can, maybe just starts hitting that irons a hair better, or ball striking improve, decently, he could be live this week. His gut feel, like I said, he's 50th in my ranking, so nothing special there. Just someone to keep an eye on as we get to Wednesday. Lucas Glover, same thing. He's top 22. He's 22nd in stats for me. He's never played here though, so a little more. But if you're really trying to stretch down low, he was one that cheap price 6,400 that I could see myself trying to dig into. Barely he missed cut by one last week at Houston. Not horrible. So just keep an eye on him. $6,400 if you're really trying to stretch low. He was one of the guys that caught my eye. Molinari, no recent form to speak of. He's just now coming back, but a 15th last week. So, is that a flash in the pan, or can he do what he's been doing here the last 3 years? So he's 33rd, a 20. So every year he's improved 33rd, 20th, and 5th. Obviously had the lead till he put it in the water last year. Maybe he just likes this place. He kind of like Spieth, right? And so 6,700, hasn't played in forever. Just now getting back, rust off. I do like that he played last week and was able to top 20 it with the 15th. So a little bit of form in that one little bit of thing, but all long-term stats, are going to be horrible because basically after the Masters, he just went on, he just was horrible forever. But a guy that's done well here at that price, he's certainly going to be, he's 66 on my overall rankings, but he's a guy that could be a manual adjustment when it comes to the final ranks on Wednesday. So, and then last is Fratelli, right there by Molinari in the rankings, 69th at CJ Cup, then 11th at Zozo, and a missed cut last week. He missed a cut in 2018, and I believe he was an amateur there, but he missed about one shot or maybe two shots. So I liked that he's played here. I went back and looked at his scorecard. He started like his fourth hole. He got like a triple or a quad on the par 3. And, and then from then on, he basically shot like one over the rest of round 1 and round 2 combined. So, or maybe he shot 2 over after that or something, but he was right there, for his first time. And he's just a guy that strikes my name. He averaged at the bent green putting. Again, when I was trying to see, is there anybody I'd even stretch to at 6,600 or lower? Glover and Fratelli were kind of the gut feel type names. He does well on par 5s. He's 17th in the field there. We'll see. We'll see how, he's just a guy to keep an eye on as we get to Wednesday. Lastly, we'll go to betting strategy and one and done strategy and wrap it up. And then we'll have tons of content coming out all day today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Be in Slack. Got giveaways going on. A lot going on this week. It's going to be awesome. Monkey Knife Fight. I'll have more on the betting pod with them. I think this afternoon, I'll be talking with them. They're going to tell me the big promo they're going to do. So stay tuned for that. You can go to gupscorner.com, use the code GUP to sign up. That may change, but that's what it is for now. But after my call with them, I'll definitely update, and they'll be a part of the pod tomorrow. So pay attention to that. Betting strategy for me, I will try to, I am going to have DJ, and I'll just try to hit the Quinellas like I did a few weeks ago with JT, Rahm, and Cantley. Because 9-1 didn't really get you excited. So, those can get up. The Cantley Rahm one was 175-1, and the JT Cantley one was 150-1. Now they got chopped, but we got both of them, right? Because it was a T2 by JT and Rahm. So aggregate of it was about 163-1 hit. Plus we had Cantley 30-1. So obviously that was a record week of all time for us, or for me on the betting side. But that's how I'll get to DJ. I don't know who I'm going to do it with yet, who I'm going to be up there mixing and matching with. But I'll have a couple of those out. That's how I'm going to try to get on him. I like Siwoo 200-1. I think that's great value. Potential top 20 bet as well at that number. Brooks, I think there's a couple 20s out there. I'm seeing an 18, so he's getting steamed down. We'll see if that goes back at all, if some other bets are coming in. If you get it at 20 still, I'd probably go there. If not, he may be one of the guys I do with DJ on the Quinella. Champ, 80-1. You know, I really think one of these top guys is going to win it, so I'm not going to get too crazy. I'll try to do some top 5, top 20 stuff. I'll do a make the cut parlay, things like that, the Quinellas. I won't be overexposed and just solo outrights. I already have the Bryson ticket, so we know that one. Released it in February, like I mentioned. Wolf 33-1, Kokrak 100-1, Scheffler 80-1, Spieth 66-1. Benny On's one I just earmarked as a potential top 20. He's 400-1 right now, so top 20 numbers should even be really good. And then Matsu 30-1. He's a guy that's kind of on my list. One and done. Yeah, I mean, I would just, you're playing your best guy. So if you're up there and you're really, really competing, which I am not, I did okay. I charged for a little while, but I don't even think I have a shot to get inside the money. Mama Gup does, though. I think she's got a chance to get inside of it, or she may have over this weekend. I hadn't checked all that stuff yet, but, you know, I would look at who you have, and he may have been saving someone this whole time. You just got to play them. But a lot of these guys have already been played, you know, because this is the last tournament of the season. Obviously, I'd like DJ Brooks. But if you have any of those big names and one of them that no one else, or he's the highest, he's already been picked the highest, that may be where I would lean. If you really are getting down to the, you know, nitty gritty, you can go on there and look at who's ahead of you and stuff and figure out who they've played and figure out. So if you're, say you're in 25th position or something, you know, I would take the time to go through and say, who's the guy, the 24 above me that's been picked the most? And do I have them? And kind of goes a route like that. Skins play, it's really tough. I think last week, maybe JB could confirm, but I think I counted there was 2 Ortiz because I thought maybe he was going to be a skin, but I know there was at least 2. So even a guy like that was, you know, super low price and stuff, it's hard to do it. And this is a limited field, so there's only 92, like we said. If you're completely out of it, you just find the best name here that just a complete long shot, you know, just to give you a chance at the skin. I mean, it's probably worth whatever it's, you know, you can go look at the deal. There's only been 1-1 all year, so it's going to be worth a lot if you happen to hit it this week. You know, Homa, Cam Smith. I was going to say Sungjae, but I'm sure he'll have at least 2. So maybe a guy that's just got great history here, that you think no one will really be on. Try to get lucky and get hot if you're going to do that skin type of deal, something like that. As always, Wednesday night, we'll be doing E9 live. I'll have the time confirmed once I get with Kenny. Probably shoot for 5 Eastern. That seemed to be when he was free last time. Probably be longer than normal. Him and I on there. I'm sure the Masters room will be, or the Slack will be hopping. Betting show tomorrow on Cup with Gup. I'll go over all the contest pools, all that kind of stuff. If you're a member and you want to shoot questions in on the live chat around betting or, you know, Masters pools that people do, I'll answer those on that pod. We'll be doing Nightly Showdown as always. May do a live one as well, or 2. We'll see. See what the community thinks on that. I talked about that yesterday on the Audible. You know, I think the biggest question, and I saved it for last on purpose, is Bryson. You know, what do you do with him? Maybe you weren't a part of Gup's Corner, so you didn't get the 40-1 or 45-1 or 38. I mean, there are all kind of numbers right around that same February sign. You don't want to bet him 8-1. So you're not really hedging by fading him. I'm really going to let ownership dictate where I go with it. I don't think he wins. I think he's not shown me enough putting at this place to believe that he's going to, I mean, I don't care how far he can hit a 500 yards. If you can't putt these greens, you're going to struggle. And he could top 10 for sure. But I mean, his 3 trips here is 21st, a 38th, and a 29th. So okay, but not for the highest priced guy in the field. And you have super elites that have great history right or below him. So I can make a lot of argument. And his iron game, like his strokes gained iron, he's 78th in this field in the model I ran. That's virtually last in approach and around the green. Now I know some of his stuff could get skewed, but you know, he's 36 ball striking. Now he's 2 great drive. We know that, but he's just a guy that has enough risk in him that if he's going to be super popular at the highest price, I don't mind fading him. I'm interested to see where the industry and where people really are moving towards once we get to Wednesday. Because I think, and I kind of changed my opinion on this today, when I think by the time we get there, he's the guy that's going to wind up coming in lower owned than what people think. But I may be wrong. Maybe he just is chalk city. And if he is, I'll gladly fade and just take my chances on it. I don't think he wins. I think he struggles to even top 5. So by numbers, I don't see him return the value, right? So unless there's a huge ownership play for me, there's not enough there for me to want to be on him. And then the other thing is, more times than not, at least in I've been doing this 4 or 5 years now, when you have a big community play, it rarely comes through. And that's more talking the betting side, but there's a lot of people invested in him. But he shocked a lot of people at the U.S. Open. So I certainly not hating on him or his game. I like him in general, what he does, partner with DraftKings. I think that's cool. But I think he's as live as anybody up there to miss the cut. I think he could miss the cut just as easy as he could top 5 this thing. Because if he gets sideways on stuff, we've seen him go off the rails, right? Not like mad or anything. He just, if he's off, it's a struggle for him because he doesn't have elite iron play or anything to save him or anything like that. So we'll see. I'd love to see him up there Sunday, obviously. I think he's good for the game. It's interesting talk. I'm just not buying into the whole he's going to go out there and dominate this course. I know he's going to have smaller irons into the green, and it's only going to get talked up more if it's really, really rainy, wet, sloppy. But he's not going to be that much further than DJ. JD can bomb it. Rahm can certainly hit it. Rory, we know pound for pound, one of the best drivers in the game. Champ, and those guys are not near Bryson's level, but yes, he's going to have an advantage over a lot of the field, but is he going to be most of the field? No. I mean, there's even Bubba. I mean, Bubba's third in great drives. And Bubba knows this place as good as anybody as well. So I'll see it. I want to see it. And if he goes out there and destroys this field, I mean, I'll bow down for sure. I'm not against him. So that's why I wanted to kind of save it for this part and talk about him as the kind of final thoughts is let's see where the game takes us on by Wednesday, where the pieces seem to be moving. I certainly would favor playing DJ, Rahm, Brooks, Rory, even JT, even Schauffele over Bryce and myself right now. So I just want to see where everybody else is at on it, and we'll go from there. Looking forward to the week. It's going to be an amazing week. Can't wait to release the new hoodie and hat combo stuff, doing a big pre-sale there, give away some of that stuff. Excited for all that. And, every day we're going to be doing something. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll be in Slack tonight while we're watching the game. Not too excited for the Pats Jets, but it is what it is. I'm about to do showstoppers right now for that game. So I'll get that out. And then I'll see you tomorrow sometime. I want to see where all the betting stuff is. If enough of it's out there, probably go fairly early in the morning and do the Cup with Gut pod. So looking forward to it and have a blessed day and a blessed week. Thank you.
SmashFactor.